Welcome back to RecNation. Today we take out the snowmobiles. Joining me is my brother Mickey on a 97 Jag Deluxe and my nephew on a 97 ZR 580. Let's get ready to go. We finally got some snow and the trails opened up, so we decided to take the snowmobiles out for a quick lap around. We are here in central Wapaka County. They do have some pretty good trails around here. You can see the condition of these trails. It's not groomed, and there are some bare spots in the open fields due to the amount of wind that came through while it was snowing. This winter has been kind of hit or miss. You heard of polar vortex? Well, I think this winter's a bipolar vortex because it can't decide if it's winter or if it's spring. It'll snow, warm up, melt off, snow, warm up, melt off again, and snow some more. So this is probably only the second week we've had the trails open in Wapaka County this year. First time we took the sleds on the trails. It was a good time. We took a quick lap around, stopped and got some fuel, and got a little night ride in as well. And I'll show you the night riding on the next video. But I want to talk for a couple minutes here about the sleds we're riding. My brother's on that 97 Jag Deluxe. It's got electric start and reverse on it. The stock Jag came with a 440 single carb fan cooled motor. It produced about 42 horsepower. The one he's riding actually has a 440 fan Sno Pro motor in it. Somewhere along the lines that motor got swapped out. And the Sno Pro 440 actually makes about 56 horsepower. They run a little higher compression. They got a different style piston in there, larger ports. They advanced the ignition on the CDI box a little bit just to get a little more horsepower. Of course, it's Sno Pros that are meant for snowcross racing, and they had both a 440 fan and a 440 liquid cooled. The liquid cooled was somewhere around 90-92 horsepower. But the fan cooled was 56. So this Jag does have the Sno Pro motor with the dual McCuney carbs. And you can tell when you ride it, it's got some pretty good snap to it. Weight on that Jag is 465 pounds, so it's relatively light, and they handle really decent. We also have a 2003 Z440, and they're very similar on handling and horsepower and ride. They're fun little sleds to kind of just cruise around on. Get into some of the twisties in the woods, and they handle really well, and it's easy to throw around on the trail, and they're fun to ride. The 97 ZR 580, those are rated about 100 horsepower. Top speed on those is about 95 miles an hour, so they move along really well. Spec from the factory, it's 543 pounds, and it's a liquid cooled. And they run the old piston port design on those. There's actually doesn't have the reed valve like the newer style snowmobiles had. It's the old piston port. So as the piston goes up and down and the crank rotates, it opens up the intake port and allows the intake air fuel mixture to come into the cylinder and compress for combustion. A lot of the modern snowmobiles nowadays have a reed valve intake, and what that is, there's like a reed cage in there. It's got like small plastic fins that open and close with the suction of the motor as it rotates, and it allows the intake to flow into the crankcase and get forced into the cylinder for combustion. There's another style, and if you're familiar with the Rotax by Skidoo, it's a rotary valve two-stroke motor, and that's got kind of a disc in it that it's got holes as it spins around. It's in time with the crank, and the holes line up with the port. It allows the intake air fuel mixture to get sucked into the engine and used for combustion. As it keeps rotating, the disc rotates around and closes off the port as it goes by. So 3 different styles. I don't know if anyone's better than the other. The older piston port style, they're a little less efficient, but they made pretty good power. Both the 440 Jag and the ZR 580 are not studded. They're just running over 3/4 inch by 121 by 15 track on it. So I'm driving here with the camera. This is that 2012 F800 Sno Pro. In an earlier video, we talked about having the Cobra cord on there. So far, that Cobra cord is holding up really well. It has a hard time staying knotted. A couple times there, we went to pull start it, and the knot in the pull rope handle came out, and the handle came right off. So we ended up tying it around the outside of the handle for now. The 2012 F800 here, it's rated at 160 horsepower and 454 pounds. So power to weight ratio on the F800 is really up there compared to the other two. This also does have studs, and it's running a 1 inch by 129 by 15 track on it. So it does have a little tendency to push in corners, and it also likes to dart around a little bit especially when you're getting off the gas and front end weight comes forward. It has a tendency to dart on the trails. I'll have to look at putting some maybe like dually carbides on there and messing with maybe some of the ski pressure to see if we can get some of the darting to go away. Otherwise, it handled well. This is the Sno Pro version, so you can see it's got the Fox float shocks on the front, the air shocks, a little stiffer rear suspension. It handled the bumps pretty well in the case of this today. But overall, all three sleds are fun to ride. The ZR580, actually back in the late 90s, I test drove one at a dealership when I was going to get my first trail snowmobile. Actually, I settled on a ZRT 600 instead of a ZR580, but I was kind of impressed at that time with the amount of power that it had. It could easily lift its skis on takeoff up to, I don't know, let's say 40-50 miles an hour. It's going to hang with pretty much anything that's out there. Maybe not some of the newer stuff, but in that time frame, it would give pretty much anything a run for its money out of the hole. On top end, again, it slowed down once it got above 50, 60, and it took a while to get up to its top speed of about 95. But they're good running sleds. They handle nice. Similar to that 440 going through the twisties in the woods. It tracks straight, rails flat, rides really good too. So 97 was the first year that Arctic had come up with the extra travel tunnel, which gave the rear suspension 13.5 inches of travel, and just increased the ride comfort on those as well. And this ZR580 has the batteryless EFI. It works really good. I kind of prefer it over the carb models. It always seems to start on its second pull. The first one kind of gets everything primed. The second one it's running. They rarely ever will follow a plug. I don't think we've ever followed a plug in that one. They run pretty crisp through all temperature ranges. The day we were out riding here, it was 26 degrees out, no real wind, the sun was out, so it felt warmer than 26, but it's good riding weather, I'm gonna stop commentary for a few minutes here and let you guys just listen to the sound of the old two-stroke. Here I had two deer run across the trail in front of me. I had to slow down. I caught them in the woods off to my right. They had passed in front of me earlier. and I could see him coming through the woods on the left. They circled back around and went back to my right side again. So it's always kind of cool when you're out just kind of cruising through nature. You see some wildlife. You'll see turkeys quite a bit, deer quite a bit. Every once in a while, you may run into like an owl or an eagle, depending on where you are in the state. But that's one of the joys of snowmobiling, is seeing the wildlife when you're out in nature. The other thing I really like about snowmobiling is I've rode ATVs, I've had motorcycles, dirt bikes, but there's nothing quite like the performance of a snowmobile on snow. They got takeoff on them. They got really great acceleration, top end speed. Most of them go between 90 and 100, 110, which is more than you want to do on the trails. Maybe going across a lake, you'll hit that speed, but cornering and handling, even though it's riding on snow with the carbides and the way the skis are, they really do rail around corners. The modern sleds today with the suspension they have, they're smooth going across the bump. So in my opinion, I believe a snowmobile on snow is probably one of the best power sports out there as far as performance wise. Here you can see we stopped at it's called Sandbur gas station. It's in central Opaka County. It's a nice little gas stop right off the snowmobile trail. The snowmobile trail runs right through the property here. They are a authorized VP dealer, so we take a little quick walk around inside because they have a lot of neat stuff in here. There's the VP fuels. There's stuff for your black powder. They got all kinds of fishing lures and tackle. I got some frozen pizzas. Good selection of soda. They even got bacon and sausage. Down here, if you walk down a little bit, they got a little bit of a beer selection. I do think they have more in the cooler in the back. But one of the other things that's kind of nice about this is they have all these different mounts. Most of these the owner has got himself hunting and fishing, and had them mounted and put on the walls here for everyone to take a look at. So it's kind of a cool, different gas stop. They got ammo, beer, guns. You can get your fuel there. Here is the ammo and some targets. This aisle is their hunting supplies, and they also have lubricants and oil for your vehicle. Kind of an oddity for a gas station, but it works very well. So thanks for watching this episode of RecNation. Join us again next week for another episode. Have a good day.